Before we start, I want to say that only 1% of you are subscribed. Please subscribe because when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will post a special video for you. In the dim light of his office, Adrian meticulously brushed off the last bits of dirt from a newly unearthed artifact, a curious stone with carvings that suggested an age beyond what was common for the region. His colleague, Tom, leaned over his shoulder for a closer look. "Do you think this could be what we've been looking for all these months?" Tom asked, his voice tinged with excitement. "It might just be," Adrian replied, turning the stone over in his hands. "But I need to examine it further. Its symbols are unlike any we've seen before." Outside the small tent that served as their field office, the night was alive with the chirps and buzzes of the jungle. Unbeknownst to them, higher up in the Earth's stratosphere, a ship hovered silently. Its occupants, the Galvani, watched the two men with interest through their advanced scanning technology. Human activity seems centered around these artifacts. Preliminary scans suggest they hold significant cultural value, noted Captain Vrex, observing the humans. "Should we initiate a closer investigation?" his second-in-command, Lyra, asked. Vrex nodded. "Prepare for a stealth retrieval. Understanding their attachment to such objects could be key to understanding the species itself." Back in the tent, Adrian placed the artifact into a secure container. "I'm going to take this back to the lab tomorrow for more tests. There's something about it that feels different." Tom clapped him on the back. "Well, your instincts haven't led us astray yet. Maybe it's another breakthrough." After securing the tent, they made their way to the small campfire where some of their team was gathered. The discussion was light, mostly revolving around the day's finds and plans for the next excavation site. But as the night deepened, so did the shadows around them, hiding the silent descent of a Galvani drone as it slipped unnoticed into the tent they had just vacated. The next morning, Adrian was the first to arrive at the tent. He immediately sensed something was off. The lock on the container seemed untouched, but a thin layer of dust told a different story. It had been tampered with. He opened it to find the stone gone. "Tom, get over here now." Adrian's voice cut through the morning calm, urgent and sharp. "What's up?" Tom arrived, breathless from the rush. "The artifact, it's gone. Someone took it last night, and I bet they didn't just walk in here by accident." Tom surveyed the area, frowning. "We need to check the security tapes, see if they caught anything unusual." As they reviewed the footage, their frustration grew. The cameras had been disabled for a precise 15-minute window, the perfect crime. "Looks like we're dealing with professionals," Tom muttered. "Or something else." Adrian was already putting on his jacket. "We're not just going to sit here and wait for the police to show up and shrug their shoulders. That stone could be the key to unlocking new chapters of human history. We're getting it back." Tom nodded, agreeing. "Let's do this then." Together. As they prepared to trace their steps back, unknown to them, high above, the Galvani watched, intrigued by the humans' quick response. Captain Vrex observed, "Their resolve is strong. They value what they've lost." "Yes," Lyra replied, "perhaps too strong. We must be cautious." The stage was set for a confrontation that none of them could have predicted, as two worlds unknowingly collided over the fate of a single, mysterious artifact. As dawn crept over the horizon, Adrian and Tom stood outside the now quiet and empty tent. The loss of the artifact weighed heavily on both, but Adrian's determination to retrieve it was palpable. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were looking for, Adrian mused, scanning the area around the tent for any sign of disturbance. Tom nodded, his eyes scanning the perimeter. "And they knew exactly when to hit us. The precision of the timing. It's almost as if they knew our routines. Let's check with the locals. Maybe someone saw something unusual last night," Adrian suggested, his mind racing through potential witnesses. Walking towards the nearby village, the men greeted the locals in the few phrases of the native language they had picked up. Their inquiries led them to an old man, Mose, who often stayed up late into the night. "Did you see anyone strange around our camp last night, Mose?" Tom asked, his tone respectful yet eager. Mose, leaning on his walking stick, squinted thoughtfully. The night was quiet, but the air, it felt different, like a chill before the storm. But no storm came. Adrian exchanged a glance with Tom. No visitors? No vehicles? Nothing, my friends. But the sky, it had lights. Not like stars or a plane. They moved too fast, Mose added, his voice tinged with a mixture of wonder and confusion. Adrian's heart skipped. Lights in the sky? Moving fast? Could you show us where you saw them? Mose nodded and pointed towards the east, towards a clearing that overlooked the vast jungle canopy. As they reached the spot, Adrian looked up, trying to imagine what the old man had seen. Tom pulled out a map and a compass, starting to make calculations. If there was something in the sky, it could have been observing us, maybe even controlling the operation remotely. Adrian rubbed his chin, deep in thought. We need to consider every possibility, even unlikely ones. Let's set up cameras here tonight. See if anything comes back. Back at camp, they briefed their team, enlisting 2 more colleagues, Luis and Dave, to help with the setup. Together, the 4 men worked through the afternoon, installing high-resolution cameras pointed towards the sky and around the perimeter of the camp. As night fell, they gathered in Adrian's tent, monitoring the feeds live. Hours ticked by with nothing but the occasional call of nocturnal wildlife breaking the silence. Around midnight, Luis perked up. There, on the eastern cam, he exclaimed, pointing to a brief flicker on the screen. They all leaned in as Adrian rewound the footage, enhancing the brightness and contrast. A faint, but unmistakable series of lights appeared, moving in a fluid, controlled pattern across the sky. Got you, Adrian whispered under his breath, his eyes narrowing. The realization that they might be dealing with something beyond human understanding began to sink in. Tom placed a reassuring hand on Adrian's shoulder. We stick together on this. Whatever this is, we face it as a team. Dave, ever the skeptic, folded his arms. Are we considering aliens? Because that's what it sounds like you're suggesting. Adrian met Dave's gaze firmly. I'm suggesting we consider all possibilities. And right now, we can't rule anything out. Tomorrow, we expand our search based on this trajectory. We need to find where they're coming from, or at least where they're going. Luis chimed in, his voice a mix of excitement and nervousness. And if they come back, we'll be ready. The men settled in for a long night, each lost in their thoughts but united in their resolve. Whatever mysteries the morning held, they would face them together, prepared for whatever challenges awaited them in the quest to reclaim what was lost. The first rays of the sun broke over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the men who had spent the night glued to their monitors. Adrian, Tom, Luis, and Dave gathered around the breakfast table, maps and various electronic devices spread out before them. So, what's the plan today? Dave asked, pouring himself a cup of coffee. We keep watching the skies or take a more proactive approach. Adrian looked up from a laptop screen displaying the night's recordings. We track them. Last night's pattern suggests a trajectory from the east. They might have a base, or at least a landing spot there. Tom nodded in agreement. We should split into 2 teams. One team will monitor the camp and the equipment, and the other will scout the eastern ridge. It's rugged terrain, but it's the best vantage point for any further activity. Luis volunteered. I'll stay here at camp. I can manage the tech and keep an eye on the feeds. I'm with Adrian then, said Tom, already packing his gear. Dave, you good with staying? Dave shrugged, his curiosity piqued. Sure, I can handle the fort with Luis. As Adrian and Tom set out, the jungle around them teemed with life, a stark contrast to their high-tech mission. They moved quietly, each step calculated, their senses attuned to any anomaly. After a few hours of hiking, they reached the higher ground. The view gave them a broad perspective over the area, an ideal spot for observations. Tom set up a portable device that started scanning frequencies. If they communicate, or if any tech is active, we'll catch it here, he explained. Adrian surveyed the horizon with binoculars. Let's hope they don't see us first. Back at the camp, Luis and Dave monitored the incoming data. Suddenly, Luis pointed at the screen. Look, temperature fluctuations and a slight ionization of the air. Something's happening, and it's close. Dave grabbed the radio. Adrian, Tom, you guys might want to hear this. We're picking up some weird readings back here. Adrian's voice crackled through the speaker. Keep us updated. We're setting up an observation post. Nothing on our end yet. As the day wore on, the tension built. Then, just as the sun began to set, Tom's device beeped loudly. Got something. It's a weak signal, but definitely artificial. It's close by, maybe a couple of kilometers north. Adrian packed up swiftly. Let's move in. This might be our only chance to find out who or what is behind this. Navigating through the dense undergrowth, they approached the signal's source. As they drew closer, the air seemed to vibrate with a strange energy. Tom held up his hand, signaling for quiet. Peering through the bushes, they saw it. A sleek, metallic object, partially hidden. It wasn't large, but its design was unlike anything human. This has to be it, Adrian whispered, reaching for his camera. As they documented the find, Adrian felt a mix of triumph and unease. We need to figure out what to do next. Do we approach it, or wait to see if they come for it? Tom was cautious. Let's hold back. Observe first. If they come, we need to see how they operate. Hours passed as night enveloped them. Then, lights appeared, moving smoothly towards the object. Figures emerged, not human, their forms slender and efficient in movement. Adrian and Tom watched in awe and apprehension as the beings inspected their craft, seemingly conducting repairs. Guess we have our answer, Tom murmured. They're definitely not from around here. Back at the camp, Dave and Luis listened intently as Adrian relayed what they had seen. The team was quiet for a moment, the reality of their discovery settling in. We'll keep watching tonight, Adrian concluded. Tomorrow, we decide our next move. For now, we learn all we can. As they settled in to monitor the visitors, the significance of their discovery was not lost on them. They were no longer just archaeologists and adventurers. They were witnesses to history, standing on the brink of new frontiers in human understanding. Under the cloak of darkness, Adrian and Tom continued their vigil. The alien beings had departed, leaving the mysterious craft alone in the clearing. The men had a plethora of footage, yet the night's quiet left them uneasy, contemplating their next move. Back at camp as dawn approached, Luis and Dave prepared breakfast, the smell of coffee blending with the fresh jungle air. We've got something incredible on our hands, don't we? Dave mused, handing Luis a steaming cup. Luis nodded, his eyes tired but bright with excitement. Yeah, and it's bigger than any of us. We need to be careful about how we handle this. It's not just about the artifact anymore. Adrian and Tom returned to camp, their appearance ragged but their spirits high with adrenaline. As they approached, Adrian called out, "Gather around, guys. We need to discuss our findings and plan our approach carefully." The team congregated around a makeshift table littered with digital tablets and maps. Adrian took the lead, replaying the video footage on a larger screen for all to see. Here they are, Adrian pointed out as shadowy figures moved on the screen. Not human, incredibly stealthy, and obviously technologically advanced. Tom chimed in, they didn't spot us, or if they did, they chose to ignore us. This tells us they might not see us as a threat, or maybe they're just observing us as we are them. Dave, the skeptic of the group, folded his arms. Or they're biding their time. We should be preparing for any scenario. Adrian acknowledged this with a nod. True, we keep our guard up. But our first step is understanding. We need to figure out why they're here and what this means for us. And importantly, we need to get that artifact back. It could be the key to everything. Luis suggested. What if we try to communicate? We know they're here for the artifact. Maybe we can negotiate or at least show them we're not hostile. Communicate how? Dave asked, skeptically. We don't speak alien. Tom pulled up another video, this one showing the artifacts emitting a soft glow when the aliens approached them. Look at this. The artifact reacted to their presence. Maybe it's a communication device, or at least a part of it. Adrian considered this. Okay, let's test that theory. We'll set up the artifact in a controlled environment and monitor any changes. We'll record everything. The group agreed, and they spent the day preparing. They set the artifact in the center of the clearing where the ship had landed, surrounded by cameras and sensors. Night fell again, and the men took shifts monitoring the equipment. As the moon cast a pale light over the jungle, the artifact began to glow faintly. The cameras captured the luminescence, growing steadily. Suddenly, the air shimmered, and the craft appeared again, silent but unmistakable. This time, Adrian stepped into the open, his hands raised to show he wasn't armed. The others watched anxiously from their hideout, ready to intervene if things went south. A figure emerged from the craft, taller and more imposing than the ones they'd seen before. It paused, observing Adrian standing near the artifact. After a tense moment, the alien spoke, its voice a strange, melodic cadence, surprisingly calm and articulate. "You seek to understand. This is good. But why keep what is not yours?" Adrian's heart raced, but he responded with equal calm. "We didn't know it belonged to anyone. We seek to learn, not to steal. Perhaps we can learn from each other." The alien tilted its head, considering his words. "Learning is the path to understanding. We will come again. Be ready." As quickly as it appeared, the craft vanished, leaving behind a night filled with whispers of wind and the soft calls of nocturnal creatures. Back at the camp, the team debriefed. "It talked to me," Adrian said, still amazed. "It understood me, and it promised to return." Tom clapped him on the back. "Well done, man. Looks like you opened the door." "Yeah," Adrian replied, his gaze lost in the stars. "Now let's see where it leads." The next morning, the camp was abuzz with activity and a renewed sense of purpose. Adrian, Tom, Dave, and Luis gathered around the main table, laden with monitors and various pieces of alien technology they had been studying. The atmosphere was electric, each man fueled by the potential of what lay ahead. "So, they're coming back," Dave stated, breaking the morning silence. "We need a solid plan. What's our angle here?" Adrian, who had been up most of the night replaying the conversation with the alien, looked thoughtful. "We continue with the approach of openness and learning. We show them we can be trusted." Luis chimed in, his eyes on a digital tablet displaying the readings from last night. "And we document everything. If this goes well, we'll have first-hand data on an interstellar diplomacy effort. Who knows where this could lead?" Tom was already at work setting up additional cameras and sensors around the clearing. "I'm boosting our surveillance capabilities. If they come back, we'll capture every detail from every angle." "Right," Adrian agreed. "Let's set up different stations. Dave, you handle communications. Keep trying different frequencies. See if any of their tech responds more clearly than others. Luis, work on the environmental scans. Any change when they arrive could give us clues about their technology or biology. And I'll handle the direct interactions," Adrian continued. "If they speak to us again, I need to be ready." As night approached, the team was in position. Adrian stood in the clearing, near the artifact, now a known point of interest for their visitors. Tom monitored from a makeshift control station, Dave focused intently on the communication arrays, and Luis kept his eyes glued to the environmental readings. The air vibrated with an electric anticipation. Then, as if on cue, the artifact glowed, signaling their arrival. The craft appeared silently, just as it had before, and the same alien figure stepped out, moving toward Adrian with a calm demeanor. "You return to the open," the alien observed, its voice resonant in the quiet of the jungle. Adrian nodded, his heart racing but his voice steady. "We are here to learn, and to share what we know." The alien paused, then extended a device towards Adrian. "This will aid in understanding us." Dave perked up from his station, watching the interaction closely. "Guys, check this out. The device, it's lighting up our comm arrays. I think it's a translator." Tom's voice crackled over the radio. "Keep talking to him, Adrian. Let's see how well it works." Adrian took the device, holding it carefully. "Thank you. We have much to learn from each other." The alien nodded. "What is it you seek from us?" "We seek knowledge," Adrian replied. "About your technology, your culture, your history. And we offer our own knowledge in exchange." The alien seemed to consider this for a moment. "A fair exchange. Knowledge for knowledge. We will share with you our history of the stars, and you will share with us the history of this world." Luis, monitoring the environmental data, noted a significant drop in ambient temperature. "Something's happening every time they talk." I think their tech might be affecting the environment somehow. I'm recording all the changes. As the exchange continued, both parties shared details about their respective histories. Adrian talked about Earth's varied cultures and technological advancements, while the alien described distant worlds and cosmic phenomena. After several hours, the meeting concluded with a mutual promise to meet again. The alien left as quietly as it had arrived, and the craft disappeared into the night sky. Back at the camp, the team gathered around the monitors, reviewing the footage and data collected. "We just made first contact and established a dialogue," Tom said, a broad grin on his face. "This is just the beginning." Dave nodded, his earlier skepticism replaced with awe. "And we got it all on tape. Wait until the world sees this." Adrian looked at his team, proud and humbled by their accomplishments. "We're on the verge of a new era. Let's keep pushing forward, together." As they packed up for the night, the jungle around them seemed less foreign, the stars above less distant. The possibilities were endless, and for the first time, humanity was not reaching out into the cosmos alone. As the days progressed, the camp became a hub of scientific and cultural exchange. Adrian, Tom, Dave, and Luis had established a routine of meetings with the alien visitor, who introduced himself as Soren. Each encounter was meticulously planned to share knowledge and resources. One evening, as the sun set casting long shadows over the camp, Adrian and Tom reviewed the artifacts and the data they had accumulated. "This is groundbreaking," Tom said, flipping through the digital pages of notes. "The technology they've shared could revolutionize our understanding of energy." Adrian nodded, his mind on the cultural implications. "And the stories Soren tells about his people's history are fascinating. It's like piecing together a cosmic puzzle." Dave joined them, holding a tablet that displayed fluctuating data graphs. "Speaking of puzzles, look at these energy readings every time Soren's ship lands. It's like nothing we've ever seen. We need to understand this better." Luis walked over, overhearing the conversation. "I was thinking, maybe we could set up a joint workshop. Get some hands-on experience with their tech under Soren's guidance. Could help demystify some of these readings." "That's a great idea," Adrian replied. "I'll suggest it to Soren at our next meeting. It could be another step towards deeper cooperation." Later that night, Soren arrived, gliding silently to the designated meeting spot. Adrian greeted him with the now familiar exchange of pleasantries, each using the translation device Soren had provided. Adrian broached Luis' suggestion. "Soren, we've been thinking about setting up a workshop, a place where we can learn from each other more practically. What do you think?" Soren tilted his head, considering the proposal. "This is agreeable. Understanding through doing is effective. I will bring tools and knowledge for energy manipulation. You will provide the space?" "Absolutely," Tom chimed in, excited by the prospect. "We can prepare an area right here in camp. We'll make sure it's equipped for whatever you need." "Good," Soren replied. "I will return on the morrow. Prepare for learning." The next day, the team worked tirelessly to set up the workshop space. Tables were arranged and equipment was carefully calibrated for the collaboration. When Soren arrived, he brought with him small, intricate devices that hummed with unseen energy. The team gathered around as he began to explain their functions. Each device is tuned to a specific frequency. Together, they harmonize to alter physical properties of materials, Soren explained, demonstrating by passing a device over a metal that softened like clay under its influence. Dave, ever the engineer, was fascinated. "So, it's like a molecular restructuring? That's incredible. Can you teach us how to control it?" "Yes, I will guide you," Soren assured him, handing Dave one of the devices. "Be mindful. It requires precise control." For hours, they practiced under Soren's patient tutelage. Adrian noticed not only the transfer of knowledge, but also the growing camaraderie between their peoples. As the workshop drew to a close, Soren addressed the group. "Today was productive. You learned quickly. This cooperation is beneficial." "It's more than beneficial," Luis said, a broad smile on his face. "It's historic. We're not just learning about your technology, Soren, but about each other." Soren nodded, his expression unreadable but his tone warm. "Yes, learning about each other is perhaps the most important outcome of our meetings." As Soren left, The men reflected on the day's successes. The night was filled with excited conversation about future possibilities. "We're really doing this, aren't we?" Tom asked the group, a sense of awe in his voice. "We are," Adrian confirmed, looking up at the stars. "And who knows where it will lead us?" The camp settled down for the night, united by a shared sense of purpose and anticipation for what the future held. As the weeks passed, the collaborative workshop between the humans and Soren became a cornerstone of their daily activities. The camp thrived with new technologies and a deeper understanding of both human and alien methods. One morning, as the sun illuminated the dense canopy of the jungle, Adrian, Tom, Dave, and Luis gathered in the main tent to discuss the progress of their integration efforts. "We've come a long way since that first night," Adrian began, reviewing the extensive notes and schematics on his tablet. "Our initial fear and uncertainty have transformed into something incredibly positive." Tom nodded, looking over a device they had co-engineered with Soren. "This energy converter alone could change how we manage resources back on Earth. And think about what we've learned about communication across species." Dave, who was calibrating a piece of alien tech, chimed in. "Yeah, and it's not just about the gadgets. It's how we've managed to work side by side with Soren, learning from each other's strengths. We need to think about the next steps." Luis added, "I believe we should document this process, make sure we have detailed records and analyses. It could serve as a model for future human-alien interactions." Adrian smiled, pleased with his team's insights. "Agreed. Let's prepare a comprehensive report. But there's another thing. We still need to resolve the issue of the artifact." The men fell silent, the artifact having been the catalyst for their current situation. It lay on a separate table, its surface glowing faintly. "We need to decide its fate," Adrian continued. "It brought Soren here, but it belongs to Earth. It's a part of our heritage." Tom looked thoughtful. "Maybe we should discuss this with Soren. He respects our culture, and perhaps he has insights from his own world about how to handle such situations." The decision made, they invited Soren to join them later that day. When he arrived, Adrian wasted no time in bringing up the subject. "Soren, we've been thinking about the artifact," Adrian started, gesturing towards the illuminated stone. "It's been instrumental in bringing us together, but it belongs to Earth's history. We need to discuss its future." Soren regarded the artifact with a luminous gaze. "I understand. In my culture, items of power and significance are shared for the benefit of all. But they must always be respected and protected." Dave was quick to respond. "That's what we want, to respect and protect it, ensuring it remains a symbol of what we've achieved here together." Soren nodded slowly. "Then let it be as you wish. Keep the artifact here, on Earth. Let it stand as a marker of our cooperation. And I will provide you with technology to safeguard it, to ensure it is preserved." The team exchanged relieved glances. This resolution was more than they had hoped for. "Thank you, Soren," Luis said. "This means a lot to us. Not just the artifact, but your willingness to understand and support our stance." Soren's reply was serene. "It has been enlightening for me as well. I have learned much about your values and your vision. I believe we are on the path to a lasting friendship." As the meeting concluded, the team worked together to set up the protective measures around the artifact, integrating alien technology with human ingenuity. Later, as night fell over the camp, the team sat around the artifact, now secured and illuminated under a new protective field. "We did it, guys," Tom said, looking around at his friends. "We've started something new here." "Yes," Adrian agreed, his eyes reflecting the light from the artifact. "A new chapter for humanity and for our friends among the stars." The men shared a quiet moment, contemplating the future. In the peace of the jungle, surrounded by stars and the soft hum of alien technology, they felt a profound connection to each other and to the universe. They had not only protected a piece of their history, but had also paved the way for a hopeful future. As the dawn of a new day broke over the camp, the team gathered for one last meeting with Soren before his scheduled departure. The air was tinged with a mixture of anticipation and sadness. The bond that had formed over weeks of collaboration was palpable among them all. Adrian stood before the group, his expression one of both pride and contemplation. "Today marks the end of this chapter, but not the relationship we've built. Soren, you've opened our eyes to the possibilities that exist when diverse civilizations come together. Soren, his demeanor as serene as ever, responded, and you have shown me the strength and curiosity of humanity. I depart today, but this is merely a pause in our interaction, not an end. Tom, always the practical one, handed Soren a small device. We've set up a communication link with the technology you provided. If there's anything you discover or any advice you need, you know how to reach us. Soren accepted the device, examining it with a nod of approval. I will indeed keep in touch. There are endless opportunities for us to aid one another in our quests for knowledge. Dave, who had been adjusting some equipment nearby, joined the circle. Before you go, there's one more thing we've been working on, a data package of Earth's biological and cultural diversity. Consider it a gift, a piece of our world for you to study. Luis, holding a tablet, stepped forward to explain. It includes everything from our planet's ecosystems to the music and art of our cultures. We hope it helps your people understand us even better. Soren's expression, typically unreadable to human eyes, seemed to brighten. This is a valuable gift. My people will cherish the insights into your world. In return, I've left a library of our own, scientific knowledge, our arts and histories. The exchange was more than just a transfer of data. It was a symbol of mutual respect and shared aspirations. As the preparations for Soren's departure were finalized, Adrian walked with him towards the landing area where his ship was discreetly parked, away from prying eyes. Adrian looked at Soren, his thoughts reflective. You once asked me why we hold on to things so passionately, referring to the artifact. What have you learned about us, about humans? Soren paused before answering. I have learned that your attachments to things, to each other, are what drive your survival and success. They are powerful motivators, and they foster a resilience that is unique to your species. And what have you taught us? Adrian prodded gently. That the universe is vast, and its mysteries are not to be feared but embraced. That different beings can find common ground if there is respect and willingness to understand, Soren replied, his voice calm and assuring. As they reached the ship, the rest of the team joined them, each man shaking Soren's hand, or what served as a hand in his anatomy, in farewell. Safe travels, Soren. Until we meet again, Tom said, clapping Soren lightly on the back. Soren nodded to each member of the team. Be well, my friends. Continue to seek understanding as vigorously as you do. With those final words, Soren boarded his ship, the technology of which was still largely a mystery to the human eye. As the ship silently lifted off and disappeared into the blue sky, the team stood watching, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment and wonder. Turning back to the camp, Adrian mused aloud. Now you know why you never take what belongs to a Deathworlder, recalling the very reason that had started this extraordinary encounter. The team laughed together, the sound mingling with the morning birdsong. They headed back to their workstations, inspired and eager to continue their work, knowing well that the universe was filled with endless possibilities. As they resumed their tasks, the sense of unity and purpose remained. They were no longer just researchers or explorers. They were pioneers on the frontier of interspecies relations, ready for whatever challenges and discoveries lay ahead.